Royal Family coming at you with another pick a card reading. And today we're asking, what has your person realized about you and the connection? Now, don't worry about the little shaking of the camera. I'm just giving you the overhead view. Now, the first pile is the Cosmic Visions Tarot and that peacock feather brooch. The second pile is a Gentle Tarot and that sunburst. Could be a flower, I suppose. And the third pile is a Journey of the Sacred Bee. And of course, we have a bee. I'm going to come back and show you the boxes because sometimes that helps people choose. So I'll see you in a bit. Royal family, welcome back. Now, in front of me, I have the three piles and their boxes. So the first pile is the Cosmic Visions Tarot. This is the box. This is the brooch. The second pile is the Gentle Tarot. This is the box. I don't know why I'm talking that stupid voice. This is the brooch. And the third pile is the Journey of the Sacred Bee. And this is the brooch. Okay, so do your thing, pick your pile, and we're going to be back to find out what has your person realized about you and the connection. I'm going to have extended readings as well, and in that one, if you know you have a third party connected to your connection, we're going to basically use the same format for that. Okay, all right, I'll see you in a bit. Hey, pile one, if you chose the peacock feather and the Cosmic Visions Tarot, this is going to be your reading. So how we start the reading is how we start all of my readings, which is to a small energy check-in on the person you are watching this reading for. Underneath the deck, we have the magical map shifter, and this reminds me of magician's energy, but because it's also paired with the number 7, because 52 reduced to 7, it tells me about using everything that is within your ambit in order to move forward or manifest the life that you want. And we see this person closing off a cycle here and shifting their reality. And they're doing that not by what they're seeing, because if you notice, it's basically a blindfold he has on his eyes, but what is intuiting, what they're intuiting, or what they are receiving from spirit, right? All right, let's have a look. The energy generally. We have the one ring circle. Okay, so this is someone who is focused on themselves, but it's not focused on themselves in the way that people may think, as in self-absorbed. I don't get self-absorbed energy from this, even though they could very well have been self-absorbed in the past. This is them dealing with their stuff. Now, because they're sitting on an elephant, and an elephant is always associated with memory, it looks like they're sitting with their memories. Now, this elephant is also kind of gray brown. Okay, so they're sitting with memories of childhood, memories of foundation, core memories. And some of these core memories, it looks like, may have led this person to be kind of isolationist and maybe very reserved and maybe very avoidant in the past. Okay, something devastating happened to this person when they were very young. Because even here, this person almost looks like a Peter Pan figure, right? And what that tells me is that person, they are stuck in that age when that trauma occurred. So you could be dealing with someone who is 52 years old. I don't know why I said that number. Who is 52 years old, but emotionally, they're Peter Pan. They might be 9. Maybe at 9 there was some sort of abandonment, right? So this is this person finally sitting with it, and it could be sitting with it with a professional, or this is an intuitively led process of healing. I'll put some cards on that, but that's what I'm getting. And for some of you, your person has serious addictions that they've developed in order to cope with what has happened to them. Okay, so that is something that they're also dealing with. I also get with this one ring circus. Um, they're looking around at their life, and they're looking at the chaos that they've unconsciously created because of their wounding and because of the coping mechanisms that they've been using to avoid addressing that wounding, right? So this is big for this person. We saw the card under the deck, the magical map shifter, whatever it is. They are shifting their reality through the exploration of, the wounded psyche, right? All right, this is the Cupid cards. I couldn't even put a box there because, listen, it's a huge deck, okay? My hands are large and look, right? And this is the energy towards you. Now, underneath the deck, we have forgives. But I think what they're doing here is very much the same thing. Forgiving themselves, forgiving others who have hurt them. And it says, let the healing power of compassion overcome any tendency to seek revenge. Use that energy to close your eyes to petty faults, and Cupid will turn somersaults. Forgive yourself and others too, who also search for something new. Learn what you can from what transpired, and be not in the blame game mad. Okay? So what your person is hoping is that when they come back around, that you'll be able to forgive them. Right? Because it looks like something happened here. Some damage was done here. Right? Hurt people, hurt people. So this person here has been a hurt person. I'm pretty sure they hurt you. Right? So they're hoping that when they come back around, right, that you'll be able to forgive them and not want to exact your revenge in that moment, because that's one of the reasons why they may not be hesitating to come forward as well. What if viewer uses this as the opportunity to say, aha, gotcha, right? Take that, fafo bitch. Right? So I'm hoping that you won't say fafo, right? Let's see the energy towards you. I felt that was kind of David Chappelle-esque, right? It was ooh, sex. All right, so we have some passion coming through here. It says, share your most valued resources lovingly, fight obsessive behavior, and do what is right. But with the sex and then the forgiveness card, I feel like sex is very important to this person, because sex is not just sex. Sex is the only way that they can become vulnerable and express who they really are and what they're truly feeling. And I feel like part of their strategy to come back or weasel their way into your life, I shouldn't say weasel, because I don't get that this person wants to play and just kind of, no, not worm eater, right? Get themselves back into your life, work themselves back into your life. Might be through leveraging the sexual chemistry that exists between you guys, but I think they want to use that opportunity as well to make you feel their love and make you feel their appreciation. This is how they know how to express it. All right, it says, the power of sex to rule our life, to cause much pleasure, pain, or strife. Now, remember I said some of them have addictions. So for some of you watching this, for your person, it might have been sex, okay? The power of sex to rule our life, to cause much pleasure, pain, or strife, does give a warning to beware, for sex demands respect and care. And that's what I think they want to communicate. The consequences are too grave if sex is not for true love saved, right? And I also get this as well, that as they like truly embrace this healing experience that they're going through, um, their ability to appreciate intimacy, not sex, intimacy and intimacy through sex, um, is growing. And maybe that is being manifested by the inability to just have casual sex at this moment, when maybe before casual sex was their preferred um, modus operandi. Let's pull a few cards on this and then let's get into this. Underneath the deck, we have the composer in reverse. What I get from this is somebody coming undone, because the composer pulls melody and everything together, but the composer in reverse tells me someone that is in the process of the undoing, which is the ego death and unlearning certain experiences. All right, let's see this one ring circus. Tell us about that, spirit. Right, we have Seven of Swords, right? So your person looking back at the past, and they're looking back at past betrayals, things that people have done to them, but also the things that they have done to people, right? Whilst they were spreading around their hurt and pain. This is also the energy of the mask that they may have been wearing and not showing everybody who they truly were. And moving now into the mystic, and the mystic is the magician again, right? So this is something, this deceit, this betrayal, this mask, this is something that they want to alchemize. They don't want to stay like that anymore, any longer, and maybe they just can't, because you can't unawaken yourself, right? Once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? So this is something that they're alchemizing at this time. um all all the rage and the pain that was locked inside, they're turning that into like a healing balm. The energy towards your sex. And we have the Two of Swords, so conflict. And we have the Three of Cups. Okay, so this is someone who's kind of conflicted, or maybe they created a lot of conflict in your relationship by, triangulating you, putting you in some kind of third party situation, but they're not happy with the conflict that's existing between you guys, or the elephant in the room, right? They're not happy with that. This is something that they want to come back and work out, because they view you as their destiny. So let's ask Spirit, what have they realized about you and the connection? What have they realized? We have the Four of Swords reversed, that they hurt you, and the magnitude and the impact of that. The veil, and this is a star card actually, and they want to heal this, right? They want to make things better. They want to kiss and make up. But with this veil card, what they're also realizing is that, as much as they don't want to admit it, you were right. You were like this seer. You saw exactly where this was headed, and maybe you even mentioned it to your person, but maybe they just didn't want to listen, right? Maybe they thought you were a little weird or whatever it is, okay? But now they're seeing that you were tapped in all this time. We have the shapeshifter in reverse, right? So this is someone who is stepping into stability, not being that kind of social chameleon where they're being different things to different people depending on the circumstances and how they feel that day, right? This is someone who's solidifying their identity, okay? And not betraying themselves or selling themselves out. for validation. And this is, I'm calling it a trick, but this is something that they've learned from you. You have inspired this person. Because when they look at you, they realize that no matter what the circumstance, you will always be your authentic, genuine self. And people can either take it or leave it. And that is the kind of courageous person that they aspire to be. We have the Eight of Swords. And that talks about being trapped. I mean, trapped in our mind. But it also talks about being trapped. I think through you, they realized how much they were trapped in their trauma, right? How much they were trapped in the self-limiting beliefs that arose out of that trauma. Um, Limiting beliefs about themselves, their family, their ability to earn, and their worth. They've been locked into that for a very long time. So what have they realized? They've realized that you have been instrumental to their healing, that you have been an inspiration to them. And what they have given you in return, as they perceive it now, what they've given you in return is hurt and pain. That's what they realized. You've been there for them in so many different ways. And what they've given you in return is hurt and pain. Now, that could be true. That could not be true, right? But this is how they're perceiving it. And this is why they're going through this self-forgiveness exercise, right? Because a part of them is finding it very difficult to move on from the pain that they caused you. And maybe they thought they would never find themselves in a situation where they've regretted what had happened. Because maybe at that time they know their heart was kind of hardened. But now that this ego death is happening and they see what they have done, it's a real exercise in self-forgiveness that's happening right now. What have they realized about themselves through this relationship? What have they realized about themselves? We have the Four of Wands, right? I think, and Four of Wands, yes, it's a twin flame card, but it talks about our family of origin. So I think what they've realized is that I think they underestimated the impact their childhood had on how they view the world, how they view the objects of their desire, how they view love, how they view relationships. I think they underestimated that. I don't think they recognized the impact of that until they went through this process. What have they realized about themselves? There's also something here about, because they have always felt unstable within themselves, they've always searched for partners who have been steadfast, even though they couldn't give that in return. They've always searched for, and maybe they've always gotten partners who were steadfast and loyal, because they're trying to create that safety outside of themselves. But what they're realizing now about themselves is that true safety can only be accomplished within. And that's through doing the work. Six of Cups. This can also talk about childhood as well. So there's a lot of nostalgia here. But I think what they're realizing about themselves is that they may have wandered far and wide, but what they've always, the truest desire of their heart has always been to be in a loving, beautiful, connected, intimate relationship, a soulmate relationship, maybe twin flame relationship, whatever, right? It's what they've always wanted. Even though this is something that they have always been deathly afraid of because it requires vulnerability and they don't want to be vulnerable. Hence, the hyper independence. But what they've always wanted is to be that connected and that close to someone else. What are they realizing about themselves? We have, it says past lives in reverse, but this is the death card in reverse. What are they realizing? That they've been as stubborn as F. I think they have had many romantic and maybe even work experiences that have been brought into their life from spirit for their healing. But through it all, your person has always held on to their deep-seated beliefs and the pain driving those deep-seated beliefs. And they're seeing now that their resistance to change has wreaked havoc in their life. Their need for control has destroyed a lot of their relationships. What else have they realized about themselves? We have the Seven of Cups in reverse. What they're realizing, maybe they were the kind of person that always had options and had options for the options and had safety nets for the options for the options for the options. But what they're realizing now that deep down, they are truly monogamous. And they've always wanted to be in that sort of relationship. That's what they're seeing here. So for some of you, your person may have thought that they were polyamorous and they didn't want to settle down. But that's because they weren't in touch with their deepest desires. And their deepest desires their deepest desire has always been to be connected, loved, seen by, and acknowledged by a loving partner. At least that's their romantic aspirations. So with all that messing about, they never really found what they were seeking because it wasn't in touch with self. But now that they're getting to know themselves just a little bit more, they're realizing they've always wanted an intimate relationship. Now, what's the most important message that they want you to know right now? Oh, what's this? We have the spirit plane, and this is the chariot. So they want to take this connection forward. For some of you, you might be having a lot of dreams about this person. They want you to know this is them purposely reaching out in the astral. We have two swords, and that's conflict. In a conflict, we have the Emperor, and we have the Six of Pentacles. So what I see here is an apology and them trying to give insight in as to how they see the future interaction between you and them. So what they're acknowledging here is that yes, they want you to know that they're taking responsibility for themselves and their actions with this Emperor card. They want you to know that, right? And part of the taking responsibility and accountability is them acknowledging here that they breadcrumbed you whilst you were giving your all to them. Remember, they've always sought and found partners who were loyal and stable. So whilst you were giving your all to them, it feels like you never received anything back in equal measure. And they're acknowledging that. They're acknowledging that they were messing around with you. They're acknowledging that they were breadcrumbing you. They're acknowledging that there was an imbalance, whether of power or resources, or just, giving and receiving love in this relationship, this connection. And they're sorry. And they want to know if you are going to be able to find it in your heart to move past the conflict and the hurt and pain that happened in this relationship. That's the most important message that they want you to know. So basically, can you forgive them and truly move on from what happened between you guys in the past? That's their question to you. Okay, so in the extended, we're basically going to use the same format for the third party relationship, and then I'm going to ask Spirit, what's going to be your person's next advice, next move towards you within a month of you watching this reading. If you're not going to be able to join me in the extended, let me get some advice from Spirit for you. And we have the inner child, and this is the work that your person is doing right now. It is inner child healing. It is them reparenting themselves. It's them acknowledging the pain that this child went through, and being that safe space for this inner child. Now, because it's coming up under advice for you, Spirit is saying that there's also some inner reflection that you need to do as well, and some safety that you need to create within yourself. All right, let's see what's coming through here. We have change. Okay. Now, it looks like your person was resistant to change, but Spirit is saying, hold up. This person wasn't the only one. Viewer, also resistant to change. So let's see what Spirit has to say here. Okay. It says, I embrace change as opportunity. I welcome the mystery and change with the tide. And it says, portal of uncertainty, entering into the unknown, seeing the mystery, headfirst into the sun, ripples and swirls, shifting, changing, unyielding lava. Interesting. Did we have that? Right in the shapeshifter card? No. It's one of these where we talked about alchemizing or the rage and all that. Flowing with it, allowing it to be. And it says here, change challenges us to consider our attachments, control, desire, fear, uncertainty, everything that your person is confronting right now. Spirit is also asking you to confront, right? Confusion, curiosity, and that's why I tell you, your person is always mirroring you. Responsibility and resilience. Life is constantly changing, moving, and flowing around us in both expected and unexpected ways. Sometimes we can have a strong desire to keep things as they are because we fear the unknown or what might come. Change brings new life, new possibilities, and new beginnings. How do we meet change? Are we so set in our ways, or comfort, or discomfort, or stubbornness, and what we already know, that we aren't willing to grow, to be wrong, make mistakes, be human, learn and meet change head on? Are we so mutable, ever changing, flowing, shifting, that we forget to take root and allow ourselves stability. So there's a balancing act that needed to take place within your person, but Spirit is saying there's a balancing act that needed to take place within you too. When life changes within us or around us, we have an opportunity to adapt and lean into our resilience, or an opportunity to collapse into the crippling attachment to what we desire something to be. We can resist change or meet it and flow. Change is the only constant, and yet there's a part of you that is steady and present through every change. Consider holding an essence of curiosity and sinking into the mystery. Think about ways you have adapted to change in the past. And they're asking you to ask yourself, what am I afraid of that keeps me from welcoming change? What changes have I held back myself from making? What changes can I embrace as new opportunities? And there's a ritual here that you can do if you want to do it. Okay, so let me read it. It says boil water and gather herbs for a tea or an infusion. Use a tea you already have or select herbs or tea that feel right for you. Pour water into your mug with the herbs or tea. Watch the way the herbs and tea meet. Sorry, the herbs and water meet, changing into a tea. While waiting for your tea to steep, consider any attachments you're holding for yourself or situation. Notice how you feel about the possibility of change. When you're ready, hold your cup and breathe an intention into your heart around resilience or adapting to change. You could say the serenity period. Yeah, that's coming through. Blow your intention into your tea. Drink and invite the tea to offer you deep medicine for change. So Spirit saying there's a part of you that has a wonky relationship with change, and they're asking you to look at that. What are you afraid of? And it's usually some sort of loss, right? All right, my love, so that was your reading. I hope that that was helpful. If you can, please subscribe to the channel. Please like, put a comment down below. It can be a full stop. All helps the channel grow. Take care. Bye. Hey, pal, too. Welcome to your reading. And if you chose the Gentle Tarot and this Sunburst, this is going to be your reading. So we begin our readings as we usually do by doing a mini check-in on your person's energy. Okay. So we're going to look at their energy generally. And for that, I'm going to be using the Enchanted Map Oracle cards. We have a balancing act, and it is the Justice card, right? This person feels like they're walking a fine line, a tightrope right now. And I feel like it's because they're about to make a big leap of faith into the unknown and make a leap of faith for love. We see these tiny hearts here just falling off. What seems to be some sort of carriage. Let me pull my glasses so I can see this imagery well. Yeah, yeah. This is what's going on here, right? And in fact, it's not a cliff. It looks like an old ruins, right? An old ruin. So there's something in their life that's crumbling, that's falling, and they're about to embark on some new adventure. I'm so silly. This is me trying to trying to enlarge the card, guys. I mean, maybe they're trying to take a closer look at this new adventure that they're about to embark on. I thought it was a carriage, but it's actually like a miniature ship. So they want to embark on this new journey, but they are perceiving that it's quite treacherous, um, quite dangerous for them. And it may not be dangerous objectively, but to your person's psyche, they're viewing it as dangerous. So they're just being very cautious right now. Okay? Very, very cautious right now. And feeling kind of torn between what is falling away and what is calling to them, you know? Energy right now. And it's dry desert in reverse. This is about wanting something more. Okay, so we see why that structure that they're standing on is crumbling, because it wasn't watered. Um, and because it wasn't watered, it just, it turned back into sand, right? So it feels like they had another situation or another job or another commitment or another family structure that they may have been nurturing. But nurturing takes all the persons involved. It's never a one-way street, right? Anytime it's a one-way street, it's going to fall and crumble. And this is exactly the lesson that they learned. There are many different interpersonal relationships in their life that won't be nurtured equally by both parties, and they're all crumbling right now. And your person is tired of doing it all. They're tired of feeling alone. They're tired of feeling lost. You know, they're tired of just wandering and just searching for something that they've never found um in their own structures, right? What they've been trying to find is an oasis in what they consider to be, a cruel, harsh world. They've just not found their home. We can't really find your home outside of yourself. Maybe that's something that they're about to learn too. But either way, they feel like they have to leave the old behind. Now, this is a card number 31, and 31 reduced to 4. And 4 is about structures. 4 is about our foundations. So your person is fed up of relationships, contracts, jobs, family members, family setups, relationship dynamics that are one-sided and aren't nurturing. But at the same time, it's all they have ever known. It's familiar. So it's kind of scary too. The energy towards you is the friend, and that's Mariah Carey's song. Anytime you need a friend, it's playing in my head right now. So this person, they consider you a true friend. You are one of the relationships in their life that's been reciprocal. And they see you. They see you. So don't think this person doesn't see what you're offering and doesn't appreciate you. They see you. And in fact, it's because of you and the direct contrast that you've provided to the other relationships that they realize that they are in a dry desert, right? I think they thought that this was the norm all this time, but you showed them something different. And they want more of that. They want all their relationships to be as supportive and nurturing as what you guys share, right? It says here, do not ignore those who you feel are too nice or not interesting enough to be your lover. Instead, share your time with one who cares and speaks with word of friendship fair. The give and take of friendship too can be the start of a love that's true. A roaring passionate fire can start with precious, kind, and loving sparks. So out of this friendship, there's something more that has grown for your person, right? You provide this person a safe space where they were able to explore their emotions, and what they've discovered that they have in their heart for you is more than just a paliwali, right? They are seeing you as more and they want more. Their energy towards you. But that's the underlying energy. They see you as a friend, but a friend with more. And we have service. So they want to be in service. Maybe, this person's love language is acts of service. So maybe you might not hear their words, but the things that they're willing to do for you and the way that they're willing to put themselves out of the way to provide and to do stuff that you want to have done, that's their way of showing love. It says, give more support than is received. As you look after others, be sure to care for your own needs as well. Right? So they want to support you more than they have been before. It says, love's tests when there comes a time to put your own needs next in line. I'm not sure. To those of one you love so dear, to help them out, you'll volunteer. So this person wants to volunteer their time and energy. This is how they show love. And tend to details large and small, for service proves love overall. So this person's recognizing that, love is not just a noun, right? Love is a verb. It's something that you do. It's something that you show every day through your kind words, right? Through your deeds. And it's the small and big details they're realizing. So this person, you find them stepping out and being more willing to show you how they feel, because they recognize that you're true. You're the genuine article. All right, let's pull some cards on that and let's see what else we get. But that's what I'm getting initially. And we have the Three of Cups, joy. All right, let's see. Spirit, tell us about this dry desert in reverse as pile two's energy generally. We have the Five of Cups in reverse. They're tired of the disappointment, tired of the regret, tired of the resentment that comes with not feeling appreciated. Okay? Yeah, they're ready for real love. They're ready for the reciprocity that comes with real love, right? Each person with their own cup already filled, given to the other in equal measure. That's what they want. That's what they want here. Look. That's what they want. And it reminds me of a little ceremony that we do. I don't know if it's in all cultures, but certainly in my culture, like when people get married, they have like the glass full of champagne or whatever, and then they interlink their hands and feed each other. And they also do that ceremony with the parents of both the bride and the groom, right? So it feels like that, and it's a show of support. It's a show of acceptance, and that's what they're looking for. And then we have here, well, it says the root of thunder. So this is going to be Knight of Swords, right? And this came to them like a bolt of lightning, right? They just got this clarity that this is what they were searching for, right? So they've been searching far and wide, searching for love in so many different places, and in all different forms. But they're recognizing this is what they want. It's a reciprocity, and they feel it with you. They feel with you, and they've seen how much you've given to them, and this is them wanting to reciprocate. We have the Ace of Swords in reverse, and as I was telling you, talking in this person's forte, okay? Death card in reverse, and I think they're going to try and be more communicative, right? But this is not that person's forte. Their love language is showing and doing. And we have the Moon, right? Listening to their intuition and recognizing you as their counterpart, divine feminine energy, the other half. Okay. All right. Now, what have they realized about you and this connection? We're gonna ask what they realize about themselves in a bit. What have they realized about you and this connection? We have the world in reverse. I think what they've realized is that, you've turned their world upside down, and really altered the way um, that they look at themselves, that they look at life. Um, and they don't want this to be over. They may have been resisting this because, it was, big changes. And maybe they're resistant to change. Maybe they like the status quo. It makes them feel safe. I mean, we saw that in the first card that we have there, where they know they have to kind of jump and leave the old behind, but they're still kind of holding on to the old structures, right? So this is someone who very much a traditionalist. They like things the way that they are. But you've given them this new vision, something that's a little bit more liberating, right? And their soul longs for that too, right? So you've really made this person reevaluate everything that they've ever thought to be true. And they're really grateful for that. As conflicted as it makes them, they're really grateful for that perspective. We have a whole new world. You've shown them a whole new world. And lots of different options, a lot of different ways to exist and be. Whereas before it was this is it, this is right, and whatever else deviates from right is wrong. You're like, no, there are other perspectives that can coexist. We have five. One of what have they realized about you and this connection? That you are willing to fight for what you believe in, and you're no pushover, right? You're not afraid of conflict, because conflict offers opportunity for growth. We see it here. So you're not afraid of that. And conflict doesn't have to be avoided. In fact, the quicker you kind of get it over is the more people recognize where they stand and where new boundaries are formed, and you understand each other a little better when you attack it head on, whatever it is, because you're not attacking each other, you're attacking the issue. And that's what they realize. Once you realize you're attacking the issue and not attacking each other, then conflict becomes easy. What else have they realized? Well, you're the one. We have 10 of Pentacles. And 10 of Pentacles, when we think of that, we think about, our legacy or family. We think about happiness. We think about being at peace. Look, right? This person look like they're doing some yoga here. And everything is at peace, right? And that's how they see you. Everything around you and in you exists in harmony, right? The animals can feel it. The plants can feel it. Spirit can feel it, right? You're just at one with yourself, at peace with God and man, and everything else in between, right? And that's how they want to feel. Even the chickens and the cat is at peace. So what have they realized about you and this connection? That they're willing to fight for this. They're willing to fight for this. What they realize that they like how both of you love, and they like how both of you fight. Because you guys fight fairly. It's not like their work situation or their other interpersonal relationships where they're attacking each other. You guys attack the issue together, and they're like that. They like how you've just made their world just so more expansive. And they're recognizing in you an opportunity to grow and expand their horizons even further. What have they realized about themselves through this connection? What have they realized about themselves through this connection? We have the Knight of Swords. Words have never been your person's thing, right? I think before your person had a lot of issues with communicating because maybe that's not how people resolve conflict in their family or even at their job, right? Maybe it's just a lot of passive aggressive acts, or people just kind of sweep it under the rug and pretend that everything is okay. But now they're realizing that they like this communication thing, right? They like talking about the issue. They like coming to a resolution. And they have a lot more communication skills than they thought that they did. What's this? This is Page of Pentacles. What have they realized about themselves? Um, when it comes to certain qualities of emotional intelligence, they're still quite a baby. They're still learning. I mean, and communication is one of those, right? They're still learning. They're also seeing as well that they didn't have the most stable family when they were growing up. Um, and as much as that's a reason for a lot of their behavior, they can't use it as an excuse now that they're an adult to engage in toxic behaviors and to stay in dysfunction. There comes a time when you have to stop blaming your parents and the way that you grew up and take matters into your own hand and really embark on your reparenting and healing journey. And this is where your person is at, right? Recognizing that they need to start from scratch. They have to prepare themselves from scratch. They have to create stability from scratch. What else are they realizing about themselves? This is the Queen of Pentacles. That they have to create stability within, right? They can't find it in a thing. They certainly can't find it in their job. And they can't find it in other people because other people are fickle, right? They have to be stable within themselves. They have to paddle, as my father used to say, they have to paddle their own canoe, right? They have to be independent within themselves before they try to form any kind of relationship with other people. What have they realized about themselves? We have the Ten of Cups. That their greatest wish is for their own family. That their greatest wish is for someone who is there for them, who is able to be loving and nurturing and supportive, right? And maybe what they were shown as a child is that, stoicism is the way to go, but they don't want that anymore. They want their own family where love, appreciation, and affection is shown openly. What else? We have the Queen of Cups. What have they realized about themselves? They're in love. They're in love. And they are capable of loving in return in a very deep, profound, and almost spiritual way. Right? I think I keep getting, this person grew up in one of those toxic masculinity households where emotion was weakness. But now they're saying that emotion is not weakness. In fact, emotion is necessary for connection. And they have it within them to provide this to themselves, to a partner, to a family. Now, let's ask ourselves, what's the most important message that your person wants you to know right now? All right. What's the most important message that they want you to know right now? We have the Star in reverse. And that talks about being hurt, talks about being down and out, not feeling yourself. We have the Empress in reverse, and that's the distorted feminine. Um, that could represent their energy right now. Maybe they're just not feeling like they are able to extend themselves to other people. Maybe they're just not feeling energized, maybe creatively blocked. Or this could represent someone in their life. It could be an intimate partner, it could be a mother figure, right? But the distorted feminine is someone who is codependent, they're clingy, they're emotionally manipulative, they don't know how to nurture, they're just not in touch with that divine feminine aspect of themselves. It's kind of shut off. We have Three of Cups, and that could suggest a third party situation, or I can talk about them. I'm trying to find their own happiness right now. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles, investing. But if you look at what this person is investing in, this person is investing in themselves. All right, so what do I get from this? What's the most important message that you need to know? All right, this person's burnt out. They're burnt out, they're overwhelmed, they're hurt, they're feeling betrayed. And it could be because of an issue that they have with their own mother. Whether this mother is alive or has passed on, there's some sort of mother wound that is operating here, right? That they're trying to deal with. But this could definitely be an intimate partner that they've been hurt by. And this could even be partners from the past. And they are now kind of addressing that pain, right? Because remember, before, your person never really felt comfortable talking about emotional things. But now that they are, there's a lot of things that are coming up for them all at once. And that seems to be a theme with a lot of persons who identify with the masculine right now. There's a lot of things coming up all at once. So they're trying to find their happiness, right? They don't want to come and be any kind of drag or pull you down, right? They're investing in themselves to be the most spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically healthy that they have ever been. Okay. So what's the most important message that they want you to know? Right now, they're investing in themselves. They don't have the energy to invest in anybody else, not even you. And maybe that's hurtful to hear, but this is what's coming through. They don't have enough energy to nurture anybody else. Right now, they only have for them because they have been through the ringer. Okay. And it could even be at a job. I don't know if you've ever been burnt out from a job. I certainly have, right? And you're just shot. Your nerves are shot, right? You're exhausted. And this is where they're at. They're exhausted. And they want you to know that. So if they've not been themselves, just know that right now, like when you're playing, well, I never really played video games as a child, but I used to watch my brothers. I know in Super Mario Brothers, when basically you've lost so much of your life that you kind of start blinking and fading away. Right. Well, that's where your person is at. You get Mario gets really small and then starts blinking and fading away. I've dated myself, but I don't care. Right. That's exactly what this person feels like right now. They're looking for a life mushroom or something like that to bring them back to life because they have been through it. In whatever other situation that they have been through it. They feel half dead right now. So they're just trying to reboot. This is what it is. They're just trying to reboot right now. All right, in the extended, we're going to look at what they've realized about the third party or karmic situation. And then we're going to look at what's going to be their next actions towards you within a month of you watching this reading. But if you're not able to join me in the extended, this is going to be Spirit's advice to you. And we have a rising, and this is about renewal, right? So your person, they're deep in this renewal process, and it feels like you're there too. We have change, okay? So big change is happening to your person, but Spirit is saying that whether you've acknowledged it or not, big changes are happening to you too. All right, let's see. I embrace change as an opportunity. I welcome the mystery and change with the tide. And then it says portal of uncertainty, entering into the unknown, seeing the mystery, flowing with it, allowing it to be. And it says change challenges us to consider our attachments, control, desire, fear, uncertainty, confusion, curiosity, responsibility, and resilience. Life is constantly changing, moving, and flowing around us in both expected and unexpected ways. Sometimes we can have a strong desire to keep things as they are, and that used to be a person. But Spirit is saying there's a bit of that in you too. To keep things as they are because we fear the unknown or what may come. Change brings new life, new possibilities, and new openings. How do we meet change? Are we so set in our ways, or comfort, or discomfort, or stubbornness and what we already know, that we aren't willing to grow, to be wrong, to make mistakes, be human, learn and meet change head on? Are we so mutable, ever changing, flowing, shifting, that we forget to take root and allow ourselves stability? When life changes within us or around us, we have an opportunity to adapt and to lean into our resilience. Or it's an opportunity to collapse into crippling attachment to what we desire something to be. We can resist change or meet it and flow. Change is the only constant, and yet there's a part of you that is steady and present through every change. Consider holding an essence of curiosity and sinking into the mystery. Think about ways you have adapted to change in the past, and then they want you to ask yourself, what am I afraid of that keeps me from welcoming change? What changes have I held back myself from making? What changes can I embrace as new opportunities? And they also have a ritual here, if you are interested, and it says boil water and gather herbs for tea or infusion. Use tea you already have, or select any herb or tea that feels right for you. Pour water into your mug with the herbs and tea. Watch the way the herbs and the water meet, changing into a tea. While waiting for your tea to steep, consider any attachments you're holding for yourself or in a situation. Notice how you feel about the possibility of change. When you are ready, hold your cup and breathe an intention into your heart around resilience or adapting to change. Blow your intention into your tea. Drink and invite the tea to offer you deep medicine for change. Right? So just as your person was resistant in the past and it looked like they were wandering that dry desert for a long time, it looks like you've been staying in a situation that was not nurturing, and resisting any changes to it. And Spirit is asking yourself, why? Spirit is asking you to ask yourself, why? Why would you hold on to something that's not nurturing you? What are you afraid of? And the minute you confront that is the minute that you are going to allow. Okay? All right, so in the extended, we're going to look at what have they realized about the third party. Otherwise, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're able, put a like or please subscribe to the channel if you can. It helps the channel grow. You can put a comment down below. It can be in full stop or emoji, whatever you want to do. All helps. Okay? Thank you. Hey, Pal 3, if you chose the Journey of the Sacred Bee and this bee brooch, This is going to be your reading. Now, guys, somewhere that shit happened with your reading. Let me tell you what happened. So I started your reading, and then when it came time to get their energy towards you, for some reason I said, now let's get their energy towards a third party. And then the whole reading continued in that third party vein until I got to the end when I said, so join me next. And then I was like, wait a minute. This is the fucking extended. So I don't know. I ended up doing the extended. So you guys have one long ass extended reading. And that's because it was meant to be the public reading, you know. Anyways, so here I am doing the public reading after the extended reading. Anyways. All right, so let's start as we usually do. Let's get a significator for your person's energy generally. And interestingly enough, this card was the first card to pop out, I think, underneath the deck as well, all right? No. No, then you know what this reminds me too is that I had to start the reading twice. The first time this card came out and then another card came out. Oh, I don't know what's going on with you guys, Pal 3, but it was some crazy energy. Anyway, so we have the balancing act, right? Balancing between fear and love, right? Balancing whether to stay or to go. Balancing whether to take a chance or not. So right now your person is kind of in the energy of indecision, and that also came out in the extended reading as well as the general energy. So it flies, right? It flies. All right, let's see a person's energy generally. Into the unknown, right? They don't know where they're going. They just know they can't stay wherever they're at. Okay, they just know right now they have to tap into their intuition and move by faith and not by sight. So big changes happening for your person. And within them, they're feeling this push to branch out, to move on. This is the energy of the Chariot, card number 7, right? And maybe there's some hesitancy in that because it is the unknown. And again, it's interesting that will come up because there was some advice around you and the unknown as well in the extended. So this is all meshing, and I love when readings really line up and co-sign each other, right? So right now your person is looking at big changes in their life, and they're not even sure if they're doing the right thing. They're not even sure what direction they need to head in. They just know that they can't stay wherever they're at. And we see these birds around them. And birds are usually thought of as messengers of spirit. So it is their intuition. It's not what they're seeing, it's what they're perceiving. It is their intuition that's letting them know, listen, time to make a move on. Okay, time to make a move on. And your person's asking, but move where? And they're like, doesn't matter. just move, you'll figure it out. But your person not a move then figure it out person. Your person a figure it out and then move kind of person. But that's not happening in this situation. And this uncertainty is giving your person a bit of pause. Let's see their energy towards you. We have self-esteem. It says, put your needs first, especially if you have a fear of feeling alone or being alone, right? Their energy towards you is that they're focusing on themselves, okay? And maybe for the first time in their life, prioritizing their own needs and wants, even above your own. Maybe in the past they may have put your own self-interest above theirs, or the self-interest of the karmic above theirs, but right now they realize they have to nurture themselves, and then they extend it. You're going to see why, right? Hostile environment. And it says here, self-confidence and self-esteem are also crucial to your dream. Respect yourself and others too. Will greatly value what you do. Those you draw into your sphere are mirrors of your hopes and fears. Okay, so now that your person is stepping into this self-value, and it's only through self-value and appreciation of self that people are able to appreciate others, right? Because remember, you can only meet others so far as you've met yourself. And this is a lesson that your person is really integrating at this time, right? They can't say they love others until they love themselves. They can't say that they appreciate others until they appreciate themselves. And this is what they are focusing on. They recognize that the key to being a good partner is having a good relationship with yourself first. And they want to be the best person, not just for themselves, but also for you. All right, their energy towards you. Like they don't want to say it. Champions, they think that you are a winner. It says break free from restrictions. Things will stay the same unless you're willing to fight the status quo. So they recognize that there's something that is holding them back from being with you. Okay. And they are restricted in some way. It could be restricted in their mind. And certainly we get an idea that they may have some kind of self-esteem issue. So they may be restricted with their own self-sabotaging thoughts about themselves and their worth and what they bring to the proverbial table. So there is that. They could be restricted physically. Maybe they're in another relationship. Maybe they live in another state, another country. Okay, maybe they're in a job that demands all of their time and energy, and they don't have much time and energy for anything else or anybody else. So it feels like they are addressing the things that are holding them back from living their best life, and part of that is you. They see that you guys can be a winning team together. They see that you guys can be a power couple together. They've certainly been hit by Cupid's arrow here, but they know that there's work on their side of the fence that they have to do. It says, you'll show true genius if you dare. Rebel against rules doctrinaire. Experiment and bend those rules. Forget the old ways learned in school. Now try an unconventional way and do not fear what others say. So maybe something about you is unconventional. Maybe something about being with you is unconventional, and against the ways of their tribe and against the ways of their programming, right? But it feels like they are determined to do whatever it takes to break free of whatever restriction in order to come towards you and to give this relationship a chance and to be a champion. Okay. All right. So let's pull some cards on these and then we're going to get further into the reading. Okay. Oops. Energy underneath the deck is Seven of Cups in reverse. And that's about clarity. Okay. All right, Spirit, tell us about this Into the Unknown card. And we have Four of Wands in reverse. Now, Four of Wands represents, or it can represent a relationship. It can represent stability, things that we've come to rely on, depend on. It can represent our programming, especially programming from childhood. It can represent our family. So it feels like your person is rebelling against the establishment. And whatever represents the establishment at this time, whatever represents the status quo, they're rebelling against that. Okay, giving it the big middle finger. And branching out on their own. Being guided by what feels good to them. Right? What feels good to them. Okay, so they're taking steps in the dark. Just guided by what feels Good. We have here the Tower in reverse. I mean, a part of them is still scared, right? So part of them wants to rebel against status quo. The other part wants to hold on because it's safe, and maybe that's why they're hesitating a little. But they know in their heart of hearts that they have to move forward. They have to move forward. Spirit tells about this Champion card with regard to you. We have Nine of Wands in reverse, becoming more open, accepting, more vulnerable. And then we have the World, right? So they are ready to enter into this whole new world with you, but they recognize that there's something in the old world that has to end for this new world, this new paradigm with you to thrive. And this is where they are at. Okay. What have they realized about you and the connection? We have Death. That right now, even without them making any changes, this is already changing because it looks like you may have done some changes on your side, right? So whatever actions you have taken have already started this tower crumbling. Okay, this tower is already crumbling. Change is already happening, whether your person makes movements or not. And they realize that unless they change, they are going to get left behind. And they don't want this chariot to leave them behind. That's what they're realizing, right? You are no longer the same person that you were. And with that, this relationship is no longer the same that it was, right? So they either match your energy and evolve, or they get left behind. So that's what they're realizing. We have the Devil in reverse. And part of the changes that they have to make in their life in order to catch up with you is to leave any kind of dysfunction, any kind of addiction, any kind of codependent relationship or habit. They have to leave it behind because your energy right now is, I don't have time for the bullshit. I'm too tired. I don't have time for the bullshit. That's your energy. Right? And anything and anyone that reeks of bullshit, death to them. It's going to end. It's going to end. They also realize that if there was any sort of this dysfunctional dynamic between you guys, you're over it. You're over it, and you're not afraid to leave them behind just to be free of it. We have Four of Swords in reverse. What have they realized about you in this connection? They realize the magnitude of the pain that they have caused, and the magnitude of what it's going to take to create recovery, to create reconciliation, to create or reintroduce harmony into this relationship again. It's going to be a task. It's going to be a task. They recognize it's not easy. The hurt and pain that's been caused it's not insurmountable, but it's not going to be any walk in the park, and it's going to take a lot of effort. Right? They can't finesse it. What else have they realized about you and this connection? And we have change. Yeah. So consistent messages. Change. It's changing. Even if they don't want to change, it's changing. And it's because you have sounded the alarm that there's something in this connection that's dysfunctional, and you're no longer going to be dealing with it. Okay? What have they realized about you and this connection? That you have options. And maybe some of you are already exploring these options. We have the Two of Pentacles here. And, that can talk about juggling. So they realize you have options, real and present ones. Nothing just, figuratively or conceptually. You have real options in your life, and you don't have to choose them. Maybe they always thought that you have to choose them, that you would never leave them behind, but they're realizing, hey, That chariot is moving forward without me. What have they realized about themselves through this connection? What have they realized about themselves? We have the Hermit in reverse. I think they realized that a lot of the stagnancy that they experienced in their life and in their relationships is because they were afraid to be alone, right? Um, in fact, being alone used to be one of your person's greatest fears, and was almost crippling. So much so that they may have stayed in dysfunctional relationships. I mean, even in jobs, right? Because they had that lack mentality. So they're seeing that. What else have they realized about themselves? We have the Empress. Well, that's you, right? But I think this could also be the energy that they're embodying. I think what they realize is that they are the co-creator of their own destiny, that they have a part to play in crafting the life that they want. Okay. Maybe your person might be recently tapping into their artistic side. So they're also realizing that there are projects, and novel creations that they can ground into this 3D reality. What have they realized is that they want to be with you. They want to be with you. They want to be near you. And they can't imagine, you know, not trying to create a life or create a relationship with you. They want to try, at least try. What have they realized about themselves? That they need some time. This also came out in the extended. That they need some time to recuperate. Your person's been under a lot of pressure. Now, this card literally says oppression, right? So it could be they could have been in an abusive, or maybe still in an abusive relationship, or maybe even an abusive job. Because we do see bees here, worker bees, and the hive is a place of work, right? And right now they're burnt out. They've burnt out, they've checked out from their own life because they just don't have the energy to do much else. What else have they realized? We have the Seven of Swords. And the card says futility, right? They have been hiding their true self from everybody, right? Playing a role, being a chameleon, being something that they are not, and all for what? To achieve what? To impress who? That's what they're realizing. They've been twisting themselves like a pretzel into all sorts of different paradigms and personalities, just for validation. But for whose validation? And for what purpose? And when you love yourself and you really step into that self-worth, these are the questions you ask yourself. Like, why have I been doing all these different things? Why have I been holding on to people that don't show appreciation? To impress who? To keep who around? Why would I want these people around me in the first place? Why would I want people around me who are only in love with my false self, my mask? It doesn't make sense. So this is a person like really putting themselves out there and determined to be the most authentic version of themselves. What's the most important message that they want you to know about themselves, about this connection this time? We have the Knight of Pentacles, right? They're coming towards you slowly but surely. And the Knight of Pentacles is someone that you can lean on, right? If there was a picture next to the song Lean on Me, it would be the Knight of Pentacles, right? Always there. Sometimes even at their detriment. You can always count on them. count on me, right? So they want you to know that you can count on them, you can trust them. They're not the same person that you've always known, kind of vikey and wishy-washy. This is someone that's stepping into more stable energy because they know who they are and they know what they want. What else do they want you to know? We have the Knight of Wands. So they want you to know that they are passionate about you. So I think the message that they're trying to tell you is that they're the complete package. You can count on them. They're stable, but they're also passionate and spontaneous too, right? So this is them selling their best attributes to you and hoping that you're gonna buy. What else do they want you to know? We have the High Priestess in reverse, right? They don't want to have any secrets between you guys. So if you know that they have some kind of secret that they haven't told you before, or they've been leading a double life, expect some of them to come forward and put these secrets out in the open. I think this person wants to lay their cards on the table. They want to reassure you that they're serious about you. And part of that is whatever deception may have occurred in the past, they want to put that out in the open. What else? What's the most important thing that they want you to know? We have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. You are more than a friend to them. Okay, they want you to know that. They're not just interested with friendship alone when it comes to you. This is someone who's interested in being a partner and a romantic partner. That's a Knight of Wands. A romantic partner to you, a lover to you, but also someone that you can count on, someone who has your back. They want you to know that. They have your back. Okay. All right, so in the extended, we look at what have they realized about a third party. What have they realized about themselves through this third party connection? What's the most important message that they want you to know about the third party connection? And then what's going to be the next move towards you? And then there's advice as well. Okay. All right. Underneath the deck is wisdom. So Spirit saying you have your inner wisdom too. Okay. That you can tap into anytime that you feel confused or you're in doubt. And for some of you guys are in doubt, right? You guys are in fear. You're afraid of doing the wrong thing. All right, let's see. Fear. And it says, I release myself from being bound by my own fears. I walk in liberation, untethered and free. And it says immobile, constricted, bound. So kind of like a person afraid, worried, dreading possibilities, paralyzed, unable to act. And it says desiring to get rid of fear is an endless internal battle that we cannot win. Fear is a vital response that protects us from legitimate harm. Our fears are designed to keep us safe, responsive, and alert. They are a natural part of our brain's ongoing, highly intelligent discernment and analysis system. To get rid of fear itself would not serve our highest good. Fear is so visceral. I know what it reminds me of. There's a book called The Gift of Fear and what fear can teach us and what fear does for us. I can't remember who writes it. Anyway, fear is so visceral and biochemical. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And so weird that, and then we have fifth one, fatigue. Okay, I only talk about 4 in the extended, so I'm glad that's aligning. Fatigue, interesting, because that's where your person's at. They're at fatigue, right? That it can create a binding up within our physical, energetic, and emotional bodies. We can become attached to this pattern energetically and quite literally be hostage to the patterns of our fears, bound within our own bodies. When we witness the pattern arising, we can invite ourselves into deeper awareness. Once we see the shackles with which we have bound ourselves, perhaps to keep ourselves safe at one point, we can lay them down and step back towards liberation. Befriend your fears. Befriend your fears. Get to know them. Ask them why they're there. Thank them for protecting you. Take them by the hand and let them know that it is safer than they think to move forward. Start with the fears that feel the least binding and get comfortable with showing them other possibilities. Then keep moving forward. Remind yourself that fears don't actually need to leave. They can stay. They just don't get to run the show. And they're asking you to ask yourself these questions. What fears are not a likely threat that can be released? Where have I allowed myself to be bound by my own fears? What sensations do I notice when filled with fear? And then they have a ritual if you want to do it. It says sit in front of a mirror. Imagine your body, the one looking into the mirror, as you. Imagine a reflection you see looking back at you from the mirror as a dear friend who is come to talk to you about your deepest truths. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Speak out loud if possible, as many layers of fear as you can. No self-editing or crafting a story. Share unabashedly and freely from the raw fear itself. Listen to understand. Hear parts you haven't heard before. Don't invalidate or validate the fears. Just listen. Thank yourself for sharing and notice what you notice and how you feel. All right, so Spirit is saying right now, there's a fear inside of you that's keeping you paralyzed. And it could be many, right? It could be many, right? Maybe you have a course of action that you want to pursue, but fear is keeping you back. What if this, what if that? Right? Spirit said, examine them and start with the one that's least probable and release it. Because even though your body and your mind is trying to keep you safe, sometimes they can sabotage you with that kind of safety. Okay? All right, my love. So that was your reading. If you're able to join me in the extended, please do. Take care. Please subscribe to the channel if you can. Take care. Much love.